Hello, Facebook. Welcome to the front row. I am super duper excited about today's conversation. If you are not aware, the front row is an online segment that Burst Into Books hosts, in which we're able to interview and get to know artists who are in the literary field. For the month of February, though, God put on my heart to change up the conversation. So the conversation for this month is going to be with artists who are in the hip hop and in the artist field. And so today I get to interview my dear brother, Rashad Jefferson. It is going to be an amazing conversation. If you are not aware of the initiative of Burst Into Books, our tagline is remixing the narrative. And the reason I chose that tagline is because I am truly an advocate for the arts and definitely music. And I believe that music is one of our most powerful literary tools. So today, I'm going to have a conversation with Ill Gordo, who he will talk a little bit more about what that is and how he uses the arts in the field. So if you are not aware, we have for the next 3 weeks, I'm having an interview conversation with not only with Rashad Jefferson, who is Ill Gordo, Matt Muse, but also the one and only Harold Green. And so I'm just giving people a time to just kind of chime in and come into the conversation, but we're going to get started very soon. The way the front row works is that once the conversation starts, feel free to pose questions. Any commentary that you want to add definitely is appreciated. But again, this is an opportunity for us to be able to engage with artists who are in the literary field. So again, if you have not been a part of a front row conversation, you are in for a treat today. So right now, I'm just kind of waiting on him to chime in so we can get started. And the conversation is going to be very informal. I have questions that are going to help us better understand him as an artist, understand what he believes is the way hip-hop and being an MC has added to the literary field, and it's going to be a dope conversation. So I'm just going to give people an opportunity to start chiming in and adding to the conversation, and then once we get started, if you have a comment or you have a question that you would like to add to the conversation, just put it in the comment part in the bottom, and we will go ahead and get started. And I see he is on the line. We're about to get it cracking. We about to get it cracking. Yo, what it do? I'm about to add you in. Let me, I don't see you popping up. We about to make this work. Though. So do me a favor, Rashad. Can you request to be a part of the conversation? Please request to be a part of the conversation. I see you're on the line, but it won't let me add you in to the conversation. This is crazy. Let's see. It has add for Mary. Don't want to add Mary. Love you, Mary. Let me see if I can add. We're gonna make this work. Facebook trying to hate on this conversation. It's going to happen. Hold up. All right. So I'm just going to keep talking until I can see he can get added in. So again, the front row, I am super excited. It is Black History Month all year long, but we just celebrated in February. So this month we're going to be celebrating with some amazing artists and just the conversations that come along with that. Yeah, so just waiting to chime in and get this conversation started with Ill Gordo. So hopefully keep coming on in. No computer. You need to be on your phone. It doesn't work on a computer, so that's the problem. So log in from your phone. Yep. That's what I was going to tell you yesterday. For whatever reason, every time I do these conversations, it doesn't work on a computer. Yeah, so go to your phone and then it will work. So we're just gonna wait for a second to get this started. I know. It's crazy. I don't know. Facebook is, I know it would make sense to be able to do it on your computer, but for whatever reason, it doesn't work. This is like my 4th interview, and for whatever reason, there you go. Approved. What up?
That's weak that you can't do it from the computer.
I know. It's so crazy. Everyone I've done it with, they're like starting their computer. That's why I was saying we should do the test because for whatever reason it doesn't work on the computer. So sorry.
It's all good.
So you gotta hold it. You gotta hold it, keep it steady.
I see. I was trying to chill.
I know, I know. How you doing this Sunday?
I'm all right, man. I can't complain.
Can't
I'm
complain.
good.
Good,
You
good, good.
know.
Well, I am super excited for this conversation. Not only Facebook, but traffic was trying to not let me be great either, but we're here now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. As I was kind of kicking off, as I was waiting for you to chime in, is that for people who don't know, the front row is an opportunity for us to be able to meet artists who are in the literary field. And I am such a lover of music, and so I chose that February would be the month for artists. And so it's only right that the first artist is my big brother, Rashad Jefferson. So we're gonna just get into the questions, and then I just told everybody if you have questions or if you have comments that you want to ask, please chime in and put them in the comments at the bottom. But I have a series of questions that we're going to go through, and then if people pose or say comments throughout the conversation, we'll address them. Cool. So the first thing is, tell us about your background. Who are you?
Well, government Rashad Jefferson. Attended Hales Franciscan High School, attended Fisk University, got my bachelor's in psychology with a minor in early childhood. I rap, that's just, I guess, like a brief little bio.
Tell us, so let's see. You from South Side Chicago, West Side Chicago? What side of Chicago we representing?
Oh, South Side.
South Side.
Born and raised, South Side. More southeast, but definitely South Side. I've kind of lived past Cottage Grove my whole entire life, and I've done nothing but go further east. But definitely the South Side.
Cool. It's important because not everybody I'm interviewing is from the South Side, so I want to just see like the feel between West Side and South Side folks. So you represent the South Side in this conversation.
Oh yeah.
What led you to the name Ill Gordo? Like how did you get your MC
name? Believe it or not, man, my name, I got it from one of my favorite movies, Hoodlum, where Lawrence Fishburne was playing the role of Bumpy Johnson.
Okay.
And so I like the movie overall just because it showed the, like the black side of the mob, I guess, to a certain degree. And like, I guess the whole Bumpy Johnson story. But nevertheless, in the movie, Bumpy Johnson had a cousin, and his name was Illinois Gordon. And throughout the whole entire movie, he was like, he always had Bumpy's back, but throughout the whole entire movie, he would say like these clever little sayings, you know what I'm saying? Clever little one-liner quotes. And I kind of compared that to like my rhyme style and my rhyme flow. And then I just looked at the character. I liked him as a character because he ain't really no gangster, but he gonna ride for his family and whatnot.
Right.
That's kind of the same thing with me. Like, I ain't no gangster, but so I kind of just made like right, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of made just like the character comparison. And then I was like, I like his name. It's like his name is Illinois. I'm from Illinois. And so I just kind of roll with it. And then once I kind of adopted it, I just took it off. I just made it Ill Gordo because that kind of flowed a little bit better. So yeah, that's where the name came from. I know a lot of people asked me that before.
Yeah. That's really cool. So we're gonna get into so as many of you may be chiming in or don't know about me, I'm Jareen McGore. I have started this organization called Burst Into Books. And our whole premise is about like helping literacy to become what's the hit thing in our community, because I believe that at the end of the day, reading has become a stigma that Black people don't read, that we don't understand how to use the spoken word or how we can
Mm-hmm.
be intelligent when it comes to writing, and that's not something that we're interested in. And so one of the things that is my tagline for Birds to Books is remixing the narrative. And the reason I said that is because I truly believe, me and Rashad both are educators, and we see Black babies every day who love and want to be great. And so I wanted to just ask you, how do you believe that using being an MC and rapping has helped to help you to kind of address topics or things that's going on in the community that people may believe that rap is losing that whole, like a lot of people I don't think are starting to. Many of us respect rap, right? Many of us respect hip
Mm-hmm.
hop, but how do you believe that you're using your craft to be able to address community ills and things that are going on, that can help make reading and literacy and just important topics more important by using rap?
I mean, that's a good question. Well, first off, I mean, from a literacy standpoint, I feel like that you can't really be a dope MC if you don't have a dope vocabulary.
Mm,
That's what I was always kind of taught. Like you gotta have a dope vocabulary. You gotta know how to put them words together. Granted, that's kind of an art form that's kind of getting lost in the shuffle with a lot of music that's getting played today. But
mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, you gotta have a dope vocabulary to be labeled as a dope MC. I don't see it any other way. So from just that literary standpoint, your vocabulary is essential to your lyricism. As far as addressing topics, uh, I feel like if you're an artist and you have that platform and you've experienced and you come up in these type of environments, you're doing your art form a disservice if you don't try to address some of those topics. Whether it's just bringing awareness to it, because there's that thin line of rapping about something and trying to bring awareness to it and glorifying it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's a thin line. But I feel like that thin line can be made clear in how you present it. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? There's nothing dope or braggadocious about people coming up in struggle and living in poverty. You know what I'm saying? Or there's nothing dope about the fact that the kids in our community, though, the kids that we serve, are at a serious financial and educational disadvantage. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So it's if you're saying those, or it's nothing cool about the murder rate or the shooting rates.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're using those things, you trying to just put that out there and you're trying to express that, that's one thing. But if you're using that as a badge of honor, like I'm so tough, you know what I'm saying? Like that's to me, that's not where it's at. So I feel like as an artist, one of your main responsibilities, if nothing else, is try to bring awareness to those topics. Make your fans or whoever at least see things through your lens. You know what I mean? And then you never know what type of change that may cause. And I know for me, especially with me working with the youth, I always got to be careful of the type of stuff that I say in my raps.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like once my students found out I rap, they come to class next day. Oh, what's up, Ill Gordo? I'm like, whoa, I'm Mr. Jefferson to you still. You know what I'm saying? You be
Right.
cool.
Right.
But it also made me very conscientious of I can't just get on the microphone like some other artists and say whatever I want to say. You know what I'm saying? Not at this point. So I gotta be conscious of that. I got younger kids that look up to me even as an MC. So I try to always provide a good example of, hey, you ain't gotta be gun toting, you ain't gotta be, calling women bitches and hoes and all of that. You ain't gotta be doing all that. There's always another route outside of the route you think that you got to take to make it. So that's kind of my thing. I try to be that positive light in both aspects of my life, in the teaching aspect as well as the rapping aspect, and just show my kids and show the kids that I work with, like, man, it's always a way that you could do whatever it is you want to do. You don't have to settle or try to carve your path. You know what I'm saying? Stick with it. If that's what you want to do, stick with it. But yeah, I do feel like it's very essential for artists to bring attention to at least those topics that affect their community on the whole.
What, like, and this isn't even one I wrote down, but like, what is like what sparks for you what you're gonna write about? Is it like current events, or is it more so like, man, this is, I believe, something that needs more awareness, or it just kind of depends on where you are in life? You know what I mean? I think that artists, they say a lot of times, write about what they personally are going through, but
Mm.
just even what you just shared, like being very conscious about the topics you talk about and write about, like even in your most current work, what are some of the things that inspire what you're writing about?
Um, it's it's my mood. You know what I'm saying? It's like the type of mood I'm in at the time. But it's also just like living. You know what I mean? Just living life, going through your own personal experiences, as well as recognizing other people's struggles and experiences. So it have been times where I might have turned on the news and saw another black boy shot or something like that, and I might not necessarily write a song directly about a black boy getting shot,
Mm-hmm.
but that that pain or that issue is now the motivation of whatever it is I'm about to write about, even if it comes out in a metaphorical sense. So it is times I pull my inspiration from everywhere, to be honest. You know, I could be in my car, walking to work, in the gym, what have you. I just feel like, as long as you are able to pull your inspirations from life itself, you always have an impact on life. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So it just really depends. It depends on sometimes my mood, how my day went, what experience, a book I read. I kind of try to be free flowing with that. Unless I have a specific topic that I feel like I want to cover, for the most part, I try to just, try to relate it as close as much to my experiences that I've gone through.
That's what's up. I think that it's pretty cool to know that not only because many of the people that we will be interviewing this month are not just their only thing is not just being an MC. They're able to be in many different facets in our society. So for you, I know that you are also an educator, and so how have you been able to use your literary skills and being an artist as an instructor in the classroom? Like, how has that helped you in being able to really help kids to broaden and do better when it comes to education?
Well, in the years that I've been working with the youth, uh, one thing that I recognize that's kind of more to me that's
Mm-hmm.
more valuable than just the educational pedagogy is the ability to foster and build relationships. I
Mm-hmm.
know when I think about the teachers that I've had before, it wasn't the teachers that I felt like did a great job at necessarily quote unquote teaching me.
Yeah.
It's more the teachers that I feel like, man, that teacher taught me life lessons. I built a relationship with that teacher. I felt like they really helped me prepare for life. Yeah,
Right.
they taught me what I needed to know, but in a more sense, they helped me. You know what I mean? And so I think for me, um, it puts me in a position where I'm able to establish and foster a lot of relationships with my students. Um, one of my students told me actually before Christmas break, they was like, "Man, Mr. Jefferson, like you a real cool teacher. Like you dope at teaching yourself. Like you teach us stuff I really learned in your class, but you also are a dope person or what have you." And then I think I tell teachers all the time, you have to show your kids your personality. You can't just go in there and just be like, "This is what I'm going to teach you." That's that, because that's our jobs as teachers. Not that simple. You know what I'm saying? Wish it was sometimes. I wish it was. I could just go in a classroom,
Yeah.
lesson, teach. That's just that. But the community that we serve, it requires a whole lot more. So I know for me, I always try to use my own personal life experiences, show the kids that I can relate to some of the struggles that I've gone through, and the fact I ain't gonna front the fact that I rap don't. It makes it a little bit easier because they be
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, you rap? Let me hear you rap." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's just those little things that they're able to identify with, and we get past those initial hurdles, and then I can get busy with them on the teaching as far as the content and everything that they need to learn in class. But I do feel like, being able to foster those relationships as far as a teacher, that's one of the key components of teaching.
Yeah.
Like if you can't, granted, I know as teachers, we don't get paid for our students to like us,
You're
but
gonna have a hard
it,
year if they don't. How about
man, but it
that?
makes your job that much easier if your students
Yep.
actually rock with you. Trust me on that.
Exactly.
So I think that's my way. You know what I'm saying? I try to foster those relationships, and I try to give the kids realistic options, not only in class but also in life.
Yep. And I believe also as an artist, it's very important to have like connections with the people that you're talking to. You know what I mean? And I think that education, as you already stated, is not you may, if you're going into the education field to be a teacher, you may feel like, hey, I just want to teach kids and hopefully they can be great. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to know your audience, right? You got to be able to
Oh
know,
yeah,
okay, what are their struggles, what are the things they're going to, and how you can relate it. So I definitely can see how being an MC, that is also a skill you have to have, be able to connect with the audience and understand like
yeah,
who you're talking to. Because at the end of the day, you can be knowledgeable about whatever, but if you don't know how to make it relatable to their world, they're not gonna really gonna hear the message. And so I think that
absolutely.
making that point is really important. When we think about like literacy in the literary world, how do you think being an MC and how do you think hip hop has added to that place in our society? Because I think that so many times it could be this disconnect of like you have writers and you have poets and then you got hip hop, right? Or you have uh, editors and people who write in newspapers, and then you got these MCs. But how do you believe that hip hop and being an artist has added to the literary world? Like, what was the missing piece that you believe that maybe being an artist or MC has actually helped literary spaces to become more popular or even more relevant? Because I think that sometimes being an MC can be a art that's not respected all the time.
I agree with you. The funny part about that is that it's the most popular genre of music. You know what I mean? Like everybody wants to be a rapper. Bottom line, singers want to be rappers. People that don't even rap want to be. You know what I'm saying? So it's the most popular genre of music, just to be honest. And even if you look at it from a cultural standpoint, hip hop has the most influence on society, even from a cultural standpoint.
Why would you?
So
Why you say that? I want to know more about why you say that.
I mean, when you think about, I think when you just think about a lot of things that goes on in society, you could just, to me, I feel like you can see the influence that hip hop has played on it. Even when you think about advertisements, even when you think about video games, you think about product placements and things of that nature, you see the level of influence that hip hop has on it. Uh, I I think one of the examples that I'm thinking about is when the first time I saw the Honey Nut Cheerios commercial, the little Honey Nut Cheerio bee on the commercial was rapping. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that just kind of showed it. So and then from that point forth, I started to just see other, just things where it's like, okay, that's clearly something you took from the hip hop culture. I saw the Progressive Insurance. They got the girl Flo. She's rapping. So it's just it just to me it shows that's just one level that hip hop has its influence on just society as a whole. And then if we just talk about just like clothes and apparel, that's just a whole nother story. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by I feel like it's the most popular genre. When you think about things, then you think about singers right now. What's the singer boy that's trying to battle J. Cole right now? He say he's the best rapper. Tory Lanez.
Really?
Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez, to my understanding, is a singer. I liked one of his songs, but he's really saying like, no, I want to battle J. Cole and everybody on his label. I'm a better rapper than all of them. So that's what I mean by
Yeah.
its influence. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear no rapper saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm the best R&B singer." You know what I'm saying? It's just like it has its influence, which is good and bad in a certain degree. But when I think about it, the impact that hip hop has in society, I feel like that hip hop was really like my first history teacher.
Mm.
To be honest. I learned more from hip hop than I did in any history class.
Really?
Just to be honest, I learned more from Public Enemy, Boogie Down Productions, KRS-One, NWA, Poor Righteous Teachers, Brand Nubian, Gangsta. I learned more about my history as a person, a black man, all of that. I learned more about that from hip hop.
Mm.
Like the only thing I learned about in my history classes coming up was colonialism, just to be honest. But as far as like groups like X Clan, like for real, when hip hop was first started, where you had rappers that was so focused on giving knowledge,
Yeah. Yeah.
what I'm saying, provide knowledge. Even Queen Latifah, MC Light, like those are my first teachers for real when it comes to like knowledge of self and
Yeah.
wanting to improve yourself. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at it as well. But yeah, man, I feel like the impact and the influence that hip hop has, especially on society, is irreplaceable.
Mm.
Like I couldn't imagine a society right now without hip hop. I wouldn't know what we would look like. I feel like everything would be different. People would dress different. People would act different. Like it would just be different. I ain't saying better or worse. I'm just saying it would definitely be different. So yeah, I mean, hip hop to me has a major impact on society, even to the degree of from a political standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
If it was if it was a unified group, you know what I'm saying? If hip hop was a political party, it would be a problem. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like that is one of those things where, like anything, once it gets too big, you'll start to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. You
Mm.
know, uh, hip hop definitely does a lot of great things for a lot of people. It's provided a lot of careers and lives for a lot of people. Lupe Fiasco made a song called "Hip Hop Saved My Life,"
Yep.
and I know me and my man's That Business, we always been able to relate to that song. Like, man, that's a real joint.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's a lot of people out here who literally where hip hop has saved their lives. So I look at it from that standpoint as well. It's like, it definitely has an impact on society.
Oh, I had to out laughing because Kelly Hobson out here. I love her so much.
Yeah, I see.
She said I'm listening, but hey girls, hey girl, I'm trying. I try. I try what I do. You know. I love you for Kelly,
uh,
girl.
oh my God, that's
But I
funny.
see you too, girl. I see you too. I see you. Okay, back to the conversation. uh, oh,
Y'all
hey,
silly.
Kelly, girl. She said, hey, y'all. So I'll throw it out. Okay. So my next question, that actually is like a perfect segue into my next question. Like, and this, I know it can be hard because you just named a catalog of amazing folks. But who would you say are your top 5 artists?
Mm.
Why? And the reason I say artists is because I know plenty of people who are MCs and singers that like there's like jazz influence, right? And there's all
Mhm.
kind of different influence. I don't even want to say like your top 5 MCs, but like who are like your top 5 artists for you personally and why?
I'm gonna start with number 5.
Okay.
Uh, going backwards, and when I say these artists, I feel like these are the artists that I feel like has had the most impact on me musically.
Okay.
Um, my number 5 would be Nas.
I love Nas.
Nas would be my number 5. When Nas first hit, I was like, dude, it's cold. Like he
Yeah.
sounds cold. Everything he do is cold. Nas would be my number 5. Um, Number 4 would be Wu-Tang Clan.
Yes.
Wu-Tang
Yes.
Clan would be my number 4. I
Of
never
course.
forget when I first bought that album. I was like, "What is this?" They like got comfy music. I'm like, "What is it?" But it was one of those albums where you got that feeling, like it just
Yeah.
felt like different but great. Um, and it definitely changed my life, just to be honest. So that album, I mean, those artists. My number 3. Uh, this is it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough, but believe it or not, my number 3 would be George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic.
What?
That'll be my number 3. Reason
Wow.
being
Okay.
because I play the drums, and
Okay.
so
You play the
when I was
drums.
coming up, yeah, when I
Okay.
was coming up, my dad taught me how to play the drums by playing all of their music.
Wow.
So that just had a major influence on me musically throughout my life. My number two, my number two, as far as influence, my number 2, I would probably have to say, I would say it's Tupac. I'd say it's Tupac. Uh, am I saying that I feel like he's the best MC or the best lyricist or anything like that? No, but I cannot deny. Like when Tupac died, I cried.
Mm,
Like I actually
mm.
shed tears. So I can't deny the impact that he actually had on my life with his music. And my number 1, Michael Jackson.
Oh wow. I mean,
Michael Jackson. Like I
I don't even think you
literally,
gotta explain why. I don't even know if you gotta explain
yeah,
why Michael Jackson.
I grew up on dude. Like they had me dressing like him as a shorty, dancing all his moves. There's no way I can deny the influence that Michael Jackson had on my life musically. So yeah, that would be my top 5 actually.
That's actually a pretty dope list. We went from Wu Tang to Michael Jackson. That is pretty dope. That is pretty dope.
Man, I mean, it's a lot of honorable mentions because I just love music
Yeah.
so much. Like that's my for real one addiction. Like I would for real go crazy if I had to stop listening to music. Like
Man, who you
I
know?
off
Up
like I
to it.
often, huh?
I feel like we should have music in the background right now, and I just don't have the
Oh
capability.
yeah, I mean that is real. You know what I'm saying? Uh, but I often, like I say often, but I've thought about like, man, the one sense, you know what I'm saying, that I cannot live without is my sense of hearing.
Mm,
Like we are all blessed. I'm so blessed and I'm so grateful that I have all of my senses that I can see, touch, feel, hear, all of that. I thank God for that every single day. But I said, man, if I had to lose one, I can't lose my sense of hearing.
Mm.
That would kill me.
Yeah.
Like if I go blind, granted, I don't want to go blind either. I'm saying I don't want to lose none of them. But it's just like, man, gee, if I could not listen or hear music anymore, I'm good as dead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's I will admit that's like my one addiction. I love music, all
Yeah.
types. I will listen
Right.
to anything once. Like so, if I like it, cool. If I don't, there's always more music to listen to.
Exactly. I don't know if you saw
So
our boo Kiara Moten is on here. Hey, Kiara.
yeah, I see her.
Kiara Moten.
uh, uh.
um. Well, you guys are worried for her. This ain't the conversation for that, huh?
Yeah, I ain't gonna,
She's doing great.
I talk.
She's doing she's doing great though. She's doing great. My boo is doing great, so I'm proud of
I've
her.
been hearing good things.
Yeah, she's been doing really good. What would you say? Because a part of this also like talking about people who have influenced you. What would you say would be advice for people who are aspiring to be writers and to be MCs and to be a part of this industry? Like, what's some of the advice you give to like people who are trying to be up and coming in what you're doing?
Um, hmm, you got to develop a tough skin. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and you have to be the realest thing I could tell any artist that's trying to do their thing. Stay true to yourself. Like, stay true to yourself. Um, Trust your talent, trust your skill, trust the fact that you know that what you're doing is going to work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have to because you're going to come across, and it's the grind with the music thing is like you deal with all rejections just for that one yes. You know what I'm saying? And you never know when that yes comes. But more so than that, you could take control of your own situation. You know what I mean? We live in a day and age now where, to a certain degree, record companies are becoming obsolete,
Mm-hmm.
where the artist does definitely have more control of their career. Granted, does it take a lot of work? Yeah, it does. Like, ain't no way around that, especially if you're doing it all by yourself. But more importantly, you got to stay true to yourself. Stay true to your art, stay true to your craft, and just trust. And you have to work hard. You know, one thing that people will say is like, man, you can achieve, you know what I'm saying? If it's your dream, you can make it happen. But a dream ain't nothing but a dream. If you don't put the work
Work at
into it, yeah, if you don't put the work into it, you could dream about something all day. I mean, but if you don't actually start to put steps towards that dream, that's all it is going to be is a dream. You know what I mean? So that's one thing I'll say, man. Trust yourself. Trust to know that what you're doing is what you want to do. And I feel like as long as you do that, you'll never fail. You never fail. Um, but you're gonna have some ups and downs. You know what I mean? But stay diligent, stay disciplined, stay focused, and you'll achieve your goals as long as you work. The one thing that's impossible is working towards your goal every single day and not achieving it.
Mm.
That's impossible. So that's all it is. It might not come overnight. It might not come when you think you're ready for it. It might not come when you want it to. But I guarantee as long as you keep working towards, you'll get it.
That's beautiful advice. What would
That's
you?
my advice.
That's your advice. What would you say? I think it's so much in regards to that. What would you say is negatively impacting hip hop right now?
You say what's negatively impacting it?
Yeah. So when I thought about, like inspiring people to be able to really go after their dreams and go after their craft and be able to be strong in what they're talking about. I know we talked about earlier about like, man, the world for good, bad, or ugly cannot live. It cannot not be impacted by hip hop, right? So I think we've talked a lot about like the great things that hip hop has done, right? The great things that the impact has had, and even some of the good things. But what do you say is currently like the bad things about hip hop? Like what are currently the things that are negatively impacting the art form and is making it not necessarily want it to be? Does that make sense? He left. Okay, I don't know what just happened, but if you are just turning in, Rashad should be coming back very soon. But just trying to figure out, like, if you have questions, if you have things that you want to add to the conversation, please, please, please let us know. Go ahead and write at the bottom. As soon as he logs back in, I will add him to the conversation. But I want to hear what you all think as well. So as we're waiting for him to chime back in, my question to him was: we talked about the good and the great that hip hop and MCs are doing to our community, but what would you say is the bad? Like, what's the negative, and what's the things that we need to try to purge out of the literary form of hip hop so that we can continue to preserve it to be the impact that we want it to be in society? So, again, what would you say is some of the negative things or some of the things that we want to see purged back? We want to see purged out of hip hop. And he's chiming back in, but I would also still like to hear people to write at the bottom.
I'm back.
I was like, what
No,
happened?
I tried to do the little watch party thing and did a bunch of other stuff,
Oh,
you
got
know. But no, so I think you was asking me like, what was a negative?
yeah, because
What was
we
your question
said
again?
that the world, which I totally agree. There is no way that we can say hip hop has not influenced society, and I don't think that it ever can go back to not influence society. But we've talked a lot about like the greatness that comes from it, even the good, you know what I mean, that comes from it. But I was gonna say I posed to the group while you were off, what do we think is the ugly side? You know what I mean? Because we said it has this great, good, and bad. And so I'm asking you, like,
Hmm.
what would you say is the bad? Before you left, I'm gonna read what Kelly just wrote, and then I do want to hear what you said. So she said that how we get how can we get it to where the toxic masculinity in hip hop can be drowned out a little bit more?
Mm.
So so when you got off, I was like, well, let me hear what other people think. What do they think is the contributors to the bad when it comes to hip hop? So that was what she said. I want to hear what I have my opinion as well. I'm gonna share, but I want to hear what you think.
Um, that is a very good question. First off, um, and I'm not gonna say that I think that that's impossible, because I do think it can get to the point to where it's drowned out a little bit. But hip hop, unfortunately, is a genre and it's a culture that has been dominated by men. You know what I'm saying? Since it first hit, it's been something that's been dominated by men. And it's funny because even when I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine, this is probably like a year or two ago, um, and we were saying like, why isn't why is it a top MC list and then a top female MC list,
Mm,
or why isn't it that you often don't hear a female mentioned in the top MCs list? You know what I'm saying? And I think, is it because that females are not as good as men? No, that's not the case. I know a lot of females that are extremely dope MCs and lyricists.
mm,
I just think that it's a field that's dominated by men. So unfortunately, women do kind of get overshadowed, and because it's a field that's dominated by men, the perception of women is very skewed.
mm,
Um, you do have a lot of artists out here, you know what I'm saying? You'll probably never hit them on the radio or mainstream, but it is a lot of artists out here that does show a high level of equality when it comes to their music as far as hip hop is concerned. I know it's one artist in particular. He actually performs and does everything with his wife.
mm,
And so I know on the main scale of things, I don't even know if it would be drowned out, because you got to think about, you then have certain female artists that play into that toxic masculinity. You have your Cardi B's, you have your Nicki Minaj's who play into that. You don't see too many more of, like, to be honest, one of my favorite MCs is Rhapsody.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
She's extremely dope, extremely dope, but she will never be as big as your Nicki Minaj or your Cardi B. So unfortunately, you do have certain women that also play into their role, and it's the nature of the music industry. Unfortunately, a music industry that's ran by men, they want to see women half naked and talking about bullshit. Like, it sucks. But the MCs, the MCs that could really go, the female MCs that could really rap, like Rhapsody, they don't really get that exposure. So I do think that because we living in a day and time where labels are kind of getting obsolete, it can get watered down a little bit. but I also put that into the hands of the fans. You know what I'm saying? The fans have a part to play in that too. Like,
They're gonna
you
keep
know,
playing with
granted,
making the money.
exactly.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and I ain't listen, I ain't mad at Cardi B. I don't know much about her. I'm not a fan personally, you know, but I know she was a stripper, hip hop reality TV show, now rapper, superstar rapper. And granted, she's another person where clearly hip hop has helped her out. You know what I'm saying? But you know, she's gonna always get pushed to the forefront, you know. So I think when you have certain artists where the machine, quote unquote, they're going to push those things more to the forefront to kind of always have that type of masculinity into it, toxic masculinity into it. So, but with the fans, if the fans can kind of have a certain amount of control of it, like I don't listen to Cardi B, I don't listen to Nicki Minaj. When I want to hear a female MC, those are the last people I want to listen to, you know. So that's all it is, man. But and then I see what you're saying, like, oh, yeah, talk about women, you know, that's how this what's very important. Hold on, I'm trying to read the rest. She wrote a
Yeah.
lot. She going in there. You know what I'm saying? I can't see to see more. But no, I see what you're saying as well, Kelly. Like you are you're right. But also with that, that sells. You see what I'm saying? That sells. Like it's certain rappers that never talk about disrespecting women or objectifying women or whatnot, but they'll never sell as much. We'll never really hear them on the radio. So a part of that is the industry and the machine. You know, they like, hey, this is selling. He calling this girl a bitch. He's saying he got 20 baby mamas and doing all this other stuff. That's what sells. It's more the sensationalism of it. You know, so unfortunately, unless there becomes a drastic climate shift, which I feel like it is, because like I said, there's a lot more independence with the artists now. But unless it becomes a drastic climate shift to where the labels in the industry that's pushing this type of music just becomes a well that is ran dry, you're gonna always have a particular artist, whether it be male or female, that's going to be willing to do or say whatever on a microphone just to make their ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's always a catch 22. But I do agree with you because I can't honestly say in any of my music I've objectified women or you know what I'm saying, did none of that crazy stuff. And there's several other artists like that as well. But you look at other artists that get all that play on the radio, all these younger artists or whoever, you know, a lot of that happens. So it's it's unfortunately a way that they have monetized hip hop.
Yeah.
There's certain key words that have to be said in order for you to sell a certain amount of records. And a lot of those words are disrespectful.
Yes. She
So,
actually ended on what I was gonna say, and then I know you were answering to what she said, and we kind of defined what we believe toxic is, because that was gonna be my question. Like you all kept saying toxic men or toxic topics, but I think you started to talk about what the toxic things are. But what she said at the bottom is kind of going to what I was going to say, I think is part of the problem when it comes to hip hop. So she said, I want to read it. You make great points. Just wish it was more acceptable to not talk about women always being objectified and disrespected. Families are important. Treating women with respect is important, and just redefining what it means to be a man. And so
hmm
my thing, what I was gonna say is that I think that that's one of the things that I'm starting to see is a downfall in hip hop, and I can't lie. I mean, I think growing up, we always had people who were like known gangsters who were rappers. You know what I'm saying? Or we had
hmm
people who heck, like they made their money off of objectifying women, and so I'm not gonna say that only this generation of rappers have that problem. You know what I mean? Like
no,
we've over the years seen plenty of rappers that
look,
definitely
the
live.
very first rap, the very first rap album I owned was "Life Is Too Short" by Too
I was
Short.
just about to say too short.
That's the
Lord
very
knows,
first
Lord knows.
rap album I
And I was
owned.
just thinking about Uncle Luke.
Oh yeah,
Uncle Luke, they are, yes, they were the first two people I actually was thinking about, Kelly. Uncle Luke and Too Short. So we're not gonna
yeah.
act like Kodak Black, all these folks to say the first people to say the stuff that we
Oh
hearing.
no,
But
no.
I also think, and I don't know if I want to say we don't have a healthy balance. I think we also was able to balance it off with some people who that wasn't all young boys saw. You know what I mean? Like you understood. I think it, like even you talking about like a Nas. You know what I'm saying? You got people who past Southern, like a Rakim, and you know what I mean. You had people that you knew were talking about just so many different topics. I think that that's the part that is a little disheartening for me. That I feel like defining what is a man. You know what I mean? I think we could talk all day about like why that's the case, and I think that you could even say like, man, it were definitely rappers that you look up to, and it's like, man, you know, that's who I want to be. But I think that more and more, I just think even us seeing in high school, we have more and more boys who really want to like be these people. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how that's what they're getting their lessons on how they treat a woman. You know, by hearing this rap, and they thinking that that's cool, or they think that that's how I'm supposed to walk around. I'm supposed to have this tough exterior. We know it's many different things that contribute to why that's the case. But I think we're getting lost in like what is a man when it comes to hip hop. You know what I mean? Like being able to speak substance, but also speak substance about being a man. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I'm making sense, but I think that that's the part that I'm kind of disheartened about. Like, for instance, when I'm picking up Trey and his friends, and like, I mean, Trey, my son, we listen to everything because I love music, but I also can see like his friends who are even as young as 6 and 7, and like they people was like G Herbo and all these folks, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and all those different things. It's like, but at the end of the day, that's cool, but I don't want y'all to be now. That's how you think you need to be talking. That's how you think you need to be acting. It's like, no, like, I guess it's like having more positive images when it comes to being a man in hip hop. And I do think we have positive images, but I also think that that's something that's being lost.
Well, one thing I'll say is this: I definitely think that when it comes to, uh, I guess, the type of music that gets the type of exposure, is definitely an imbalance. Because when we think about music, back in the day or what have you, they were still definitely objectifying women. One of the songs that really just popped in my head was Sir Mix-a-Lot, "Baby Got Back." It's like that song is clearly objectifying women. But on the flip side, you can also hear a very conscientious record on the radio as well. So I feel like today you're gonna get all Sir Mix-a-Lot, no Cool Mo D. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's like there's no balance today. So with that, one of the things I think that helped me was that, yes, did hip hop play a role in my upbringing? Absolutely. I cannot deny that even if I wanted to. But I learned how to be a man from my father. And so that I get where y'all are saying with that, but I didn't learn how to be a man from hip hop. You know what I mean? Hip hop taught me how to deal with certain things in life. It taught me how to, be a rebellious teenager at times, you know what I'm saying? But as far as how to be a man, I have to give that credit 100% to my father, and granted, I'm blessed. I'm blessed, very blessed. But even in the sense of where some of the music that that was getting played, another old school rapper, his name was Ed O.G., Ed O.G. and the Bulldogs. He made a song called "Be a Father to Your Child." You know what I'm saying? And he was just talking about how guys was then kind of on mess with their baby mamas, what have you, not being fathers. And the whole song was talking about like, man, step up and be a father. And do you hear many songs like that today? No, especially not on the radio. But are there artists that create and make that type of music? Yeah, it is. It's just we live in an artist-driven industry now to where and fan-driven because like you can really find what you're looking for. Granted, it's not going to necessarily, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to necessarily be as accessible as you might want it to be, but you're going to find what you're looking for. She said it's just a privilege a lot of young men don't have. You're right. That is and that's why I said I'm blessed with it. You know what I mean? You are absolutely correct. And so yeah, a lot of them do turn to music, but I feel like even in that respect and even in those senses, there's type of music out here for everything. That's a gift and a curse of hip hop or just period. There's a type for everything. So just as much as it is, the negative, bang, bang, shoot 'em up, G Herbo, whoever. Yeah, there are a lot of more conscientious MCs or rappers out here. You know what I mean? And I think that boils down to what are they just being exposed to? You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, you know, when I was coming up, I'll never forget my father, Apache. Apache made a song called Gangsta Bitch. And in the song, he's just talking about how he just wanted this tough ass girl that hold his guns and shootouts with him and all. And I liked it because the beat was dope, but the message was kind of bogus. You know what I'm saying? And it was my father to tell me like, no, G, like I don't even really want you rocking with that song. Like that's not a good look. You see what I'm saying? But I get what you're saying. Like, because if my father or uncle or big brother or somebody wasn't there to let me know, no, yeah, you could like the beat and all of that, but his message ain't on shit. You know, definitely, I could have had a skewed perspective on women as well. You know, so I think it's very important that we also have to acknowledge what the kids are being exposed to, and then somehow, some way, if you can, just try to help change that narrative. Because as long as we expose them to that, yeah, then yeah, it's going to naturally have its influence. And then yeah, everything out here ain't positive. And you know, you gotta look for positive.
Yeah.
It's just like say sometimes you gotta dig through a bunch of trash to find the gold or the diamond or whatever the saying is. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same premise when it comes to music. It's very easy to find trash.
Yeah.
But when you want to find that quality stuff that you feel like, okay, this is what I want my kid to check out, or if my kid gonna be listening to an artist that I might want to have influence him, let him listen to a little bit of Kendrick, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. So it's a catch 22 because we're gonna always be inundated with trashy music that kind of sets out a bogus message. But even with that, just like in any forms of entertainment or just media, I feel like then at that point, we just have to kind of be more conscientious of what we're being exposed to. And if you don't like it, don't listen to it.
And I think you made an important point, and it made me just think about like why, to be honest, we are important. And when I say we, I mean our community. Because I think at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
we can always say like, well, the reason she's promiscuous because she didn't have her father, or the reason he's doing whatever because he didn't have her father, or the reason she act like this is because her mom is this way, or X, Y, and Z. And
Mm-hmm.
when I hear those kind of things, it makes me feel like we're writing certain kids off. You know what I mean? Like, well, because he ain't got his dad, I mean, that's just kind of how it is. You know what I mean? Like, that's how he gonna
Yeah.
be. And I think that's why I think a we can attest is like with the work we do every day. That's why it's important for us to understand that for some of these kids, like we are that big brother. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I can hear, like for instance, like my girls can come to school talking about like some trash that they saw on TV, and I'm gonna listen. You know what I mean? I'm gonna let them get that stuff out, but then we're gonna have a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna say, you know
Yeah.
what? But do you think that was right? You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that how you envision your marriage to be one day? You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Miss Gorham, he was like, you know, all men cheat, and that's just what we do, and you know, I'm like, but do you believe that? You know what I mean? Like, do you
Mm-hmm.
believe? Because once you start believing that psyche, then you feed into that, and that becomes what you're gonna
Yeah.
what it is. And if you don't have those conversations with them, like, actually, that is someone's truth, but that doesn't have to be your truth. And I think that like you just had that conversation with your dad, listen to that song, like it don't necessarily have to be that he don't have a dad, but if his basketball coach is in the car with him, you know what I'm saying,
Exactly.
and he hear that song and he just had that real conversation, like, man, you know, this is a cool beat, but do you believe that that's what women are? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a moment that they could have to kind of give them a different perspective. Like, they gonna always, I think for me, I was blessed. I had my mom, I had my dad, but I also had people who weren't didn't shy away to have hard conversations with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know what? That's cute, but you really gonna have your friends calling you a B? Like, no, you
Yeah.
know what? And they might say that in the song, but then I'm gonna make a conscious decision. Like, you know what? And I think it is a way you can separate music in your life. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? I do like that song, but that's not describing the life I want, though. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I think, and she just said the conversation. I think the conversations are important. That's creating the spaces, and even when she talked about redefining manhood, that's even the reason why like we're putting together this men's conference in June, because it really put on my heart. Like, at the end of the day, we keep saying there's no black fathers in the black community, right? But then what are we gonna do to create a space where we can have black boys in the same room with black men? You know what I mean? Like, that ain't got to be his
Mm-hmm.
father, but the fact that you see your barber as a mentor, you know what I'm saying? Or you see whoever as a mentor, I think that that's important. So I think
Mm-hmm.
a big way we can we can combat the ills that we see in music and society is us then creating the spaces that we want our kids to then follow. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I don't think you should be doing this, and then what am I gonna do to help this kid see a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I even look at it. I even look at it from the standpoint of me of my professional career as far as being a
Mm-hmm.
teacher. I am the lowest demographic in the field of education.
Mm-hmm.
A black man, that's the smallest demographic of teachers probably in the world. Um, and one thing that I can acknowledge is that, especially because, agreeing to Kelly's point where a lot of our young black boys don't have the privilege of their fathers being around for whatever reasons. But, and I am speaking from experience on this, I recognize the impact of having a black man teacher has at any level, preferably in elementary school. Like, that makes a huge difference when a young black boy can come to school every day and see a man that looks like him and teaching him not only what he needs to learn in class, but also how to navigate through society as a young black boy. That's significant. It is. And the reality of it is the majority of our young black boys, 90% of their teachers are young white women. These are just facts, you know what I'm saying? I mean, my numbers might not be all the way accurate, but the majority of their teachers are younger white women, you know? So that I'm just only I'm acknowledging that because that's another element that is missing as far as helping redefining the manhood of young black boys.
Representation
Uh,
in front of you.
exactly. Granted, not to toot our horn, but that's definitely one of the advantages of working at Butler, where half of the teaching staff are men of color that's not 70 years old. So it's like these young boys, they're it's easy for them to latch on because they come to school every day and they see men that are not that much older than them living healthy professional lives. Ain't out on the block, ain't out on the, doing what have you. And granted, we can all relate to them because we came from where they came from. We grew up in these same streets that y'all grew up in. So having that piece, I see the difference it has because that's a piece that I've never had in my education, but it worked because I've always had my father. So I do agree, especially in kids' life, but especially a young black boy, there has to be some type of consistent male guiding that.
Yeah.
One thing I'll acknowledge is that, and this is me saying this as being a man with no children, but one thing I'll acknowledge is that as much as um, as much as our single mothers do their best and they do terrific jobs of raising their children, they do a terrific job at raising young boys. One thing I'll stand on is that it's difficult for a woman to teach a young boy how to be a man.
I agree.
Not saying that she can't teach him how to be a functioning man in society, or you know what I'm saying, but it's just difficult. And on the flip side, I feel like it would be the same thing for a single father with a daughter. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like it's difficult, you know what I mean? And I say this because I think about my dad could have been in I could have been in one of those situations where I was just solely raised by my mom. You know what I mean? And it's been able to help me see the impact that my father has had on me. So that's one thing I will say is that, to all the single women out here that's doing it, single moms out here that's in a position that, hey, I gotta do what I gotta do. Hey, you're doing a great job. You know what I'm saying? You're doing a wonderful job. But I also recognize that there's that certain piece about boys becoming men where they need their fathers. Just to be honest, like they need just like young girls when they going through that phase of from becoming a girl to a woman, they need their mothers. You know what I'm saying? It's the same premise, man. You have to, those men have to be in place. One time teach a boy to be a man or broken. Oh, damn, that's a good question. You say,
You
I
know,
agree, but which is worse? A woman trying to teach a boy to be a man, or a broken man teaching a boy to be a man? Um, Good question, Kelly. Um, to be honest, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll say the worst is the broken man teaching a boy to be a man. especially if the broken man is not like reflective and at least acknowledging his wrongdoings and saying like, this is an area, this is an area where I could have been. Now, and that's what I'm saying. Like when you say a broken man, it's just like when I think of that, I think of, okay, is he a broken man that's just broke? Like he's relishing in being fucked up. Excuse my French, but or you saying like he's a broken man, but he recognized he's done wrong and he just probably feel like it's too late to change. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like those men will give you two different perspectives. I feel like the man that's just broke, all he's going to do is teach you his broken ways. That's it. Like I'm broke. I'm just gonna teach you my broken ways. But if it's a man that is at least like, yeah, I messed up. I did make some bogus decisions. Woo woo, and at least can be reflective of that. I feel like even though he might be acknowledging that he's not that great, he can still be like, hey, these are my mistakes. Learn from my mistakes. I'm not teaching you what I've done. I'm only teaching you my mistakes so you can learn from those mistakes. So when you say a broken man, that's kind of how I look at it. But either way, I feel like if you're saying a man is just broken and has no ambition or even acknowledgement of trying to get fixed or that he did the things that he did was wrong, then yeah, I feel like that's worse. I'm not gonna lie, because I think that at that point all he's going to do is teach his son his same broken ways. Where in comparison to a woman is at least going to try. This is my opinion. A woman is going to at least try to. She's going to try to raise that son the best way she thinks she know how a son should be raised. That's what I feel. A broken man is just going to teach his son his broken ways. The caveat is if that broken man is a reflective, I made a mistake, that type of broken man, then he could possibly just show his son, hey, these are my errors. Don't make the same mistakes that I've made. You know what I mean? So
I think what I would
yeah,
add just to that is that when we think about us as adults now, I believe that there are many people who impacted who I am as a woman today. My
yeah,
mother is definitely a huge, huge number one in my book. She's my model for everything. But I also can say that there are other women who definitely
hmm
shaped who I believe the world is, and in some ways couldn't necessarily or gave me a different perspective of the world outside of even the way I was raised. You know what I mean? I think
hmm
that so when we think about brokenness, I think that to be honest, we all have some things that are broken about us. Like I don't think
hmm
um
nobody's perfect.
no one's perfect. We're all searching to be those model. I mean, like me having my son, I never had a son before. You know what I mean? So everything I'm doing is a first. Everything I'm doing, and I think the same when we think about our own parents, like they did what they thought was best. You know what I mean? Like they especially if you was the first kid or you were like, whatever, like they learning how to be a husband, wife, they learning how to be a mom and dad. Like we all learn this thing
Yeah,
together. So I think what I want to reemphasize, I think that that's why the community is so important because at the end of the day, I got my mom, but you know what? I also had teachers I looked up to. I also had,
yeah,
I played sports. I had coaches that were like giving me that wisdom on the side. You know what I mean? I had good girlfriends that even to this day who are like
hmm
sounding boards to me. And all of those people help create who Jarema is. You know what I mean? And I
yeah,
don't own, I mean, I think in the beginning stages of our lives, we can't really decide who are the people that raise us. Like I can't choose my dad, I can't choose my mom. But as I get
right,
older, I'm able to kind of like, hey, you know what? Maybe dad or maybe mom ain't doing it right, but I see X number. I see this person who I feel like, man, they got some qualities I want to learn. Let me kind of sit under them. You know what I mean? And so
yeah,
I think that that's why it's important that. So is it important for a boy to be raised by their father or have a male influence? I say absolutely yes. And I think that their father may be broken and lost and don't know what they need to do. But I think also as women, we need to recognize the power that men play in boys' lives. And so I
hmm
might not necessarily have the best partner as their father or whatever the case may be, but I can't also feel like F men, I don't need men in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like as a single
hmm
mom, I even recognize that like Trey has his dad, and I'm super grateful for that. He also has uncles. He also has cousins. He also has teachers who he even tells me, like, man, so and so told me this, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know what I mean, like. And I think we got to recognize that as well. Like, our parents are our first teachers. But we also need to, if we don't have a space for our kids, create spaces where they are able to be around, you know, men, if they're boys. Or even if I'm a single father and I have a daughter, that she is able to be around women that I think can instill qualities in her that I can't instill in her. You know what I mean? And it ain't got to be because I'm trying to be with this person. Well, I'm trying to make them their daddy, but I do recognize the power of that influence. You know what I'm saying? I tell the difference when I say something to Trey or when his dad says something to him. Like, I could just instantly tell the difference. Like, and then it have to do, it's not that Trey he don't love me or he don't respect me, but there's something about it coming from a male's voice. You know what I'm saying? It's something about it coming from that person that it sticks a little bit more, or the message just clicks a little quicker. You know what I mean? And so, and I recognize it. I've had to learn that there's power in having strong Black men in my life for him to see, not only for myself, but for him. So I think that can kind of like sum it up as well. Like, we need to see that we may have people in our lives that we don't think are the best influences, but that's when we got to play our part and then create a village around us that is going to aid maybe those holes that maybe we didn't get from home or we didn't get from this person. And maybe we do have dope home lives, but we still can learn by being with other folks.
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's it's crazy because I recognize that that's actually, you know, being an advisor will definitely make you recognize that role. Especially if you're not a parent, you know. So in my case, it was kind of like, you know, I don't have kids of my own, but yeah, you know, being an advisor will definitely kind of put you in that perspective of the impact that you will have, especially on young men's lives. So I recognize it, and I think that was one of the reasons I always wanted to go into education. I never actually wanted to teach high school. I wanted to stay with the babies because I'm like, that's an element that they don't see. They don't see Black men teaching them at a lower level of education. And I just always wonder, like, what type of impact that can have on a young man's life, seeing a man every single day consistently teaching him the right things. So yeah, it definitely has an impact. And you know, I'm blessed. I thank God every day for my parents. Seriously.
Well, we've gone down so many different roles in this conversation. This is great. I think to kind of sum it up, it only makes sense that you rap. I mean, it just, I mean, we talked about everything from Nas, Wu-Tang, you know, it was great, Kelly, and I love your pushes, but this is the MC Lyricist Lounge version of Front Row, so I think that people need to hear why you were chosen. So I need to, whatever you feel would be the appropriate bars to spit right now, but they need to get spit.
Let me see. Let me think. All right. Let me see. What, just a 16? Or just whatever?
Whatever moves in your shando, whatever you feel deep down inside that needs to come out at this moment. It could be a freestyle. It don't even have to be a written piece. It could be whatever you feel like needs to happen right
now. Let me see. All right. I think it's a piece that I'm actually working on. I got 2 projects. Well, actually 3 projects coming out this year.
Okay.
So it's a piece that I'm actually I might put on one of these projects, but just a little something. Let me see. Joe, you know I'm the coldest. Little niggas saying I'm the oldest, but they know I body shit like a colon. They ain't focused, flow deeper than the ocean. These rhymes that I spit get you open like an assist. Jump off the edge of a cliff and stand up with no scratch or dent. So the injuries that I spit make damages permanent. Enough of that other shit. I'll make it easy to see. Got verses. When my sermon spit like EPMD, because it's easy to me. You pick 100 MCs, I go through 101, commit suicide when I'm done. The legend that I'll become, just to show you that just to show you I got extra flows. Never running out. I'll die cold like an Eskimo. Bars there, crack your dome. Like doing a wheelie on a motorcycle, popping off with no helmet on. Gang bitches got the Prince Purple Velvet on. I could spit one song, destroy your whole catalog. Or ringtones, let's get it on, cause you're gorillas cowards. I'm King Kong climbing on top of the Willis Tower. I will devour any MC, any hour, and got the power to do it casually like Eddie Bauer, and eat 24 a day like Jack Bauer. You may rose from the dirt, but you still a flower. I'm the ultimate. Crazy rap fiend, always known to spit the dopest shit. When I grab the mic, it's over with.
That was dope.
Yeah. What's
one critique.
What?
You cannot call it the Willis Tower. It's the Sears Towers. We do not call it the Willis Tower.
Listen, I can't call it the Sears Tower because it ain't called the Sears Tower no more.
Hey, it's you know what I'm saying? The Willis Tower. Okay.
Because if I say, listen,
it's just like right now we ain't got no president. I don't even say his name. Just like
but
that,
look,
we are not calling it the Willis Tower.
Hold on. The only reason is because I said the Sears Tower in class before, and all the kids was like, "What's the Sears Tower?"
I'm like, that's when we talked about earlier. That's a history lesson. You go ahead.
I told them that, and you know what they said in response? They was like, "Oh, the Willis Tower." What can I say? You know what I'm saying? I say, man, the Sears Tower used to be the tallest building in the world. Ooh, you go up there, you can see the sky deck. Oh, he was like, oh, yeah, the Willis Tower. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
yeah, the Willis Tower.
Just know when I say it out loud, I'm going to say the Sears Tower. You're going to be like, who is that? I ain't going to say Willis. I don't acknowledge that. I'm sorry. I've been in Chicago all life. I ain't never been in no Willis Towers, but I sure heck been at the Sears Tower. Okay?
I had to accept it, just like I had to accept that it's not Comiskey Park no more. What is it, Cellular One Field?
Oh my gosh, I don't even think it's that anymore. I don't know. It's just all
exactly. So
we ain't going to get to that. That's a whole nother conversation. But I'm gonna get off my soapbox. It has been a pleasure, big bro, to be with you today.
Thank you. It's definitely
been amazing. I always close out with people being able to share how people can contact you or what shows you may have coming up. She said guaranteed field. What's that?
Yep. That's White Sox Stadium.
Oh my
God. Yeah. So yeah. Because Guaranteed Bank owns them now. Owns that field, I guess. So put some money up, I guess.
Nothing is sacred anymore. Okay, well, it is what but yeah, please share how can people get in contact with you, what upcoming shows you have going on. Also, if you want, you can tag in the comments once I end this live what those locations and stuff are as well, so people can be able to contact you, how they can get your music, all that great stuff, and then we will close out.
Cool. Pretty much it's kind of simple. The best thing I can say is you Google Ill Gordo, all of my stuff will pop up. Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Twitter. The only difference is that on Instagram, I'm at Ill Gordo without the N, but everything else, you type up Ill Gordo, all of my material stuff will come up. So, that's pretty much how you can find me.
Great. So we're going to close out for the day. Have an amazing Sunday.
Thank you. You too. Yeah. Side note, do you know if the girls won or not?
I don't. We need to figure
I was watching it before we logged on Facebook because, he be going live with the game.
I know.
We was winning, but then they started coming back.
Uh-oh. I guess
so I'm about to check. Right. Okay. Once we end this conversation, we're going to find out.
All right,
but nevertheless,
we've been winning thus far. I hope we won as well today.
Right. But nevertheless, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. This was fun, what I'm saying, just to be able to come on here and talk. And definitely let me know if there's anything else I could do to help.
Thank you. Share the video. Share it. I'm going to share it as well. But thank you again.
I'm about to share it right now.
All right, take care. Happy Sunday.
All right, bye bye.
Bye bye.